Morning. Maybe I should do a little check. Swag, good morning, Swag Vegan. Can you hear me? Good morning, Ananda. Just doing a little check here to make sure folks can hear me. Oh, yes, definitely. Happy New Year, and it's good to be back. I posted my first video early this morning. Early this morning. My first video in months. Oh, good, great, great. I'm glad you could hear. So it was pretty exciting to post a video, and I have a few videos in the can, and I have some time to edit those videos and get those posted. And more than anything, I'm really excited to be back here in Detroit and just able to live life a little bit more, live life a little bit more the way I like to live, a little bit more calm, a little bit more time, thoughtful time and energy, time to get back to some themes. Lychians, thank you so much for the 400 likes this morning. Swan Vegan, thank you as well for 400 likes. Y'all are, what a great way to start end the year, to end the year. Wow, Happy New Year from Bangkok. Lychians, yes, thank you so much, and I hope that you are safe and happy. I have no idea what the time zone is for you there, so I don't know if it's closer to midnight, or is it tomorrow, or is it yesterday? I have no idea. But so today, just thought I'd keep things a little. It's the end of 2017. It's 2018. It's so interesting because I usually in the summer I start thinking about because I run a theater company, and I have to think about our season. So I have to start thinking about what's going to be happening for the 2017-2018 season. And it always feels a little bit like, that's so far away. Why am I bothering to? And then it's here, and I'm like, woo! I'm glad I gave all of this some thought. Kearney V, good to see you. Welcome. So Kearney V, I have been thinking about you so much because I'm walking around the space, and I'm seeing, all of the projects that we kind of left like midway through, and I know that it's winter, but winter means that spring is just around the corner, and it's going to actually be time to get back to there. So there's all those boxes, the wood for those boxes is all set to go, and I'm really excited I'm really looking forward to being able to get some planting done. And my brother gave me, my brother-in-law gave me all this gardening equipment, like all these hoes and things like that. So I thought that was really kind of awesome. What was I gonna say? Yeah. So what's going on with y'all? I hope I haven't missed anyone. What are people's plans for the end of the year? Do people have plans for the evening? Chickpea Sarni, thank you for the applause and welcome. I can't believe this. I can't believe I'm actually broadcasting. And I'm broadcasting from Detroit today. I know that Kearney V, I'm laid up recovering from an injury. Ugh. Tell us about that. Maybe, I'm just saying, clearly you have nothing better to do. So if you want to jump up on here and guest and tell us a little bit of your story. So y'all, I have a little bit. It's not really. It's a story. It's a warning let it be a warning to you all. So it's interesting because I live in the Motor City, and so clearly there was a time when this was all about a driving culture, right? So there are many expressways that run through Detroit, and it tends to be the way that you travel because it's a fairly large city, and you're often to go, like, say, for example, to the grocery store or to go to the hardware store. It's, it's not walking distance. It's not that type of a city yet. It's, we're working on it. Forgive all this bouncing, y'all. I'm bumping up against the table. It's making the camera shake. So I was driving just a couple of days ago, and it was snowing, so the roads were clearly very slick. And I'm just one of those folks. If I don't trust what's under the car, I creep. I creep along. I creep along. And generally, while I'm creeping along, I see cars, to the left and the right they're not on the road. I'll put it this way. Something has happened so that those cars are now, instead of creeping along the road, they're now sitting on the side of the road. And so Kearney says, haha, I would, but I'm in no condition to be seen. I'm finding that very hard to believe. You are a very seeable person, in my opinion, Kearney V. Anyway, continuing with my story. I'm creeping along on the road, and fortunately there was not a lot of traffic, which is great. It means people were being smart and they were staying off the road. I happened to have someplace that I needed to go, so I'm creeping along the road, and I'm going to say maybe it was a quarter of a mile ahead of me, maybe it was an eighth of a mile or so, right? I'm trying to gauge it. I see a car spin out of control on the highway, and I'm thinking to myself, if I had been one of those people who follows, a car length behind, as opposed to following, I try to follow, especially when the weather is bad, I try to be as far as possible from every other car on the road, not knowing what's going to happen. So this car goes spinning out of control, right? So suddenly now they're driving the wrong way on the expressway. Nightmare situation. So I'm already preparing myself for how am I going to get myself into another lane, because they were right in front of me, right? They were right in front of me. They were coming up on me pretty fast. So I'm asking myself, okay, how am I going to do this? So as opposed to slamming on the brakes and panicking, I took my foot off the accelerator, and the car just started to ease back a little bit. And fortunately, they were able to drive their car because they had basically been they were occupying about 3 lanes. They got their car off to the side, and I didn't have to really do anything to avoid them. I think I was able to get over 1 lane, so if I had to, I would have been able to kind of maneuver to avoid hitting them. But fortunately, it didn't come to that. Yes. But I'm just thinking to myself, oh my goodness, if anyone had been following that car, it would have instantly been a multi-car collision, right? And who knows what would have happened then. And you've got trucks on the expressway, you've got all these cars on the expressway. Fortunately, there was no one following close behind me, because when I started to decelerate, it could have very easily been somebody, smacking me in behind. So yes, but that is just a warning to everyone. If you happen to be out on the roads, don't trust that car is going to do what it needs to take care of you. You need to do what you need to do to take care of yourself, right? Oh no, Kearney, see? So Kearney, I can't believe it. Really? You're not going to brush that hair out and get up on here and tell us the story about how you avoided avoided, heaven forbid, getting yourself killed in a 6-car accident. So yeah, it's the season for that, y'all. And so of course now it's New Year's Eve, and I'm sure people have plans, but please be safe, people. Please be safe. Yes, it's not about, yes, Ananda, exactly. It's not about you necessarily. You want to drive as if you are the only person on the road who has some sense. Assume that no one else on the road has any sense, and drive accordingly if you're driving, right? So that's it. So that's my good news, and why I'm probably not going to be doing anything I'm not going to do anything because the weather here is terrible, and to get out is just, you know. Fellow Rose, thank you for becoming a fan, and welcome to the broadcast. Just having a little coffee here, y'all. So, what else? So, Jack is with me. Jack is, where is Jack? He's close by. He was right next to me. He was right there. Hey, Jack. I don't want to bother him because wherever he is, I'm sure he is. He's. There's a sofa about 8 feet from where I am right now, and Jack is chilled. Jack is chilled out, and when Jack is chilled out, I let sleeping dogs lie, literally. Yes, he is snuggled up and being warm, and fortunately, the house is great. The house is great, Kearney. Thank you for asking. Um, yes, definitely. So yeah, I'm gonna let Jack sleep. Ananda says, "Let your baby sleep." So I'm gonna let Jack sleep. But what else, y'all? So as you all know, I got back to Detroit, and I traveled with my dear friend who is an artist, Edie Nadelhaft, and we traveled with, I hope you can see them, but these 9 paintings are now on display. Well, they're not on display. They're now here. Several of them are on display. So this blue one here, which is called Blue in Utah, is on display. And this is one of the snouts. This is called Laughing Cow. And that piece is 36 by 36, and Blue in Utah is 48 by 48. These are huge. These are huge paintings, and we're going to be getting to know those over the coming months. I'll probably, as I'm making videos, I will probably be featuring some of the paintings in the videos so you guys can get to know them. And there is going to be a fundraiser for the spring that focuses on, that kind of centers around these paintings, and then there's going to be a public exhibit of the paintings in the spring when the weather's nice. And so the fundraiser is going to be finally to get a wheelchair ramp on the front of the house, because right now the house is not accessible, or as accessible as I would like it to be. And of course the house, it wasn't built that way, and there's only so much that can be expected that can be done on a house, priority, the roof, right? Priority, the, sewer line and things like that, the electricity. But all of that said, so, it's more likely the summer. In fact, definitely the summer, because in the spring, likely we'll have another group here from Purchase. And then the summer, there's going to be a conference. The Pedagogy and Theater of the Oppressed conference is happening near Pittsburgh at Indiana University of Pennsylvania. And then in the summer, I imagine there'll be a second group that will be here from Purchase or somewhere else. I think there'll be like a spring break group, and then there'll be a summer program group. And then somewhere in between there and the Summer Shakespeare that I hope to be part of, again, there'll be some kind of an event. And Edie is going to come back out, and she's going to help me hang the work. But in conjunction with the fundraiser, one of the things that Edie has offered is to do, there's going to be some limited edition prints of the paintings here. So, people who give a certain amount will be able to get those prints. And so, I don't know. I try to do things that are a little bit special, connected to alt space. Obviously, there's a reason for, choosing the cows as the subjects, and it's because alt space, if you did not know before, alt space is a vegan sanctuary. So if you come here, it's all, there aren't animal products that are consumed, at least by humans. Jack eats dog food and Jack's food is a whole other story, and we'll get into that. But it's, free from animal products as far as what people consume, and then, there's some flexibility. Obviously, we're not going to tell people not to wear their shoes because that just would be prohibitive, and people wouldn't come to the space and learn more about veganism and, how to live in, more compassionately. So, yes. That said, I'm going to be trying to do some more animal-themed videos, going to places where animals are either kept or animals are living in sanctuary. And so the subjects of the paintings are all animals who were in various animal sanctuaries. So, yeah. So that's what that is. That's so much. It's so much, y'all. What else is on? What else is on? Been writing this play, y'all. Continuing working on this play, and the play is Black Conference, and that will be mounted in the late spring. Memorial Day weekend, in fact, is when the play will open and run. So some folks have questions. How long? Somebody said, "How long have you been vegan?" So I first discovered plant-based living in 2009. And if you go through my videos, I actually tell the story of how I went plant-based the day I got married. So my honeymoon kicked off with me completely changing my, my lifestyle to a plant-based lifestyle. Now, as far as me being vegan, animal products, for the most part, were removed from my eating back then in 2009. So it's going on 10 years. As far as being vegan and consciously, ethically vegan, that started for me in 2015. And I sort of reinvested in, more just thinking about my health. But during that time, I was coming across a lot of content creators on YouTube and in other spaces who were talking about veganism in a way that I could really identify it was coming from more of a social justice perspective. And that was where things clicked for me. There were several videos several folks that I discovered at that time who were shifting the dialogue around what it means to be vegan and how it's part of a social justice. One can't really fully be an advocate of social justice and not think about the way that we move through our environment, because if we're destroying the environment, we can't have a society, right? And if we're not embracing embracing the natural world, that includes animals, for me at least. And so alt space took a shift at that time and became more about sustainability and how to live in the context of this larger world, that we're part of this larger environment. And it's meant just the way the house is maintained and the land around the house, the way that it's maintained, to make sure that it's not destroying other, the habitats of other creatures that have been here or found their way back here after the city was, went through its decline. So yes, all of those things. I hope that answered the question about how long I've been vegan. So Veganista, hello. Robin M, good morning. Who else has come in? Striped Tiger, welcome. Vegan Call Quest, welcome to the broadcast. My prolific friend. Robin, let's see, who else has questions? Your hubby was vegan before me. No, my husband was not vegan at the time, and my husband still is not vegan. My husband is vegan by association. And what that means is when I'm around, my husband is vegan out of respect. And when I'm not around, I'm not sure what my husband does, but my husband does not make any, claims to being vegan, but really does try to live mostly a plant-based lifestyle. Veganista says natural balance, VDog. Halo, VDog, Halo, and others sell vegan dog wet and dry. I also feed them whole foods and cooked foods as well with an array of treats. So Veganista, here's the thing about Jack. Jack unfortunately has something called Addison's disease, and it has to do with his production of cortisol, I believe, is what the chemical that we create. Because he can't produce this, he's on a special diet. So he eats a prescription, and it's very costly. It's very costly. I would love to be able to just put him on a vegan diet, but I'm making a choice between his life and other animals, and it's a very difficult one. If someone knew about Addison's disease and can tell me more about how I could feed Jack and have him not, you wouldn't want to be here. You wouldn't want to be here when Jack is not well. In fact, we went through a little bit of a scary period last year where I thought I was going to lose him actually here at the house. But not making excuses, please. If you have thoughts about that, we can have a conversation, certainly. Vegan Call Quest, thank you for inviting your 1,197 fans to this broadcast. Wow, that is really, really, your fan count is growing exponentially. Every time I see you, I think you have another 200 or 300 fans. And I'm glad to be one of them. Y'all, check out Vegan Called Quest. Vegan Called Quest will probably leave this broadcast and immediately go and do a New Year's Eve broadcast, which I don't know if I'm gonna be able to check it out. I have so many things to do here at the house to keep things warm, but I will try to check that out. But y'all do go check out, if you're not already a fan of Vegan Called Quest, become a fan. Vegan Call Quest says, you're just being responsible. There's no shame in feeding your friend based on science and taking care of them. Well, thank you. Thank you for that, Vegan Call Quest. With that being said, do you agree with the idea that veganism is not a universal diet for all? I don't know. I mean, here, I'll put it this way. Whether or not veganism is a universal diet for all, there are a lot of people who are consuming animal products that just shouldn't be. That's not doing them any good at all. In fact, it's probably hurting them. Are there people who wouldn't be able to thrive on a completely plant-based diet? I mean, there might be folks with conditions who just, need to do whatever it is that they need to do to stay alive. But that's the whole point of veganism, is it not? It's as far as possible and practicable, right? And so if it's not practicable or possible for someone to, exist on a plant-based diet, then their veganism is going to have to lie somewhere else, isn't it? I'm not sure what to make of it, and I don't want to be a, carnist apologist, because I'm not that. Because my sense is that there are people who are carnist who are doing it just out of habit, because they believe in what the media tells them, right? They just believe what the media tells them, and there's a lot of other stuff that happens because people believe what the media tells them. So, yeah, right back to you, Vegan Call Quest. Let's see. Veganista says you should check out a holistic vet, but of course, take care of your baby. Yeah, I mean, we possibly could. Here's the other thing too, is that Chris, y'all, is the real daddy of Jack. Chris is the daddy of Jack, and Jack is really, really costly. And if it were not for the fact that Chris had the resources to take care of Jack, Jack wouldn't be here. I can tell you all that. Jack wouldn't be there. So, I could suggest that. I could suggest that we try to take a vegan approach with Jack, but, putting that on somebody else's bankroll, yeah, I mean, if it's possible, if we could afford it, yeah. So I'm down with looking into that, and I've given it some thought. My reservation has been it's a lot of talk on my part to tell somebody else to go and do that if it then ends up being cost prohibitive. And Jack's vet bills are pretty high because he's number one, he's on he's medicated, he has to take a pill every day. a steroid pill every day just to keep his cortisol in balance. So there's a lot that goes into that. He's just laughing out loud. You feel me, right? You feel me. You feel me. Kearney says a plant-based diet is suitable for all stages of life and has been shown to be the only diet to prevent and reverse heart disease. Okay, yeah, you know, you preach to the choir up in here. I'm sure pretty much everybody in this room, Kearney V, is up with you. Now, of course, if you were guesting right now and giving us this lowdown, you know, it might be something else, is all I'm saying. Okay, I don't know about Addison's. However, I noticed vets in the UK scam people with sponsored prescription foods. Yeah, quite possibly. Robin M20. Robin says, I agree with you on that one. My family is one of them. We should not eat animals, but so far I'm the only plant-based person. Chichikov says, example, unscrupulous vets falsely diagnose dogs as having allergy issues, subscribe special foods that is based on wheat gluten, etc., and allergen. Chichikov says, vicious cycle of vet-induced disease. Poor baby. Yeah. Yeah, I imagine that there's, you know, I imagine there's a lot of stuff. You have to understand, though, Jack, we didn't take Jack to the vet, and then the vet said, hey, here's what we think. Jack was at death's door. He was at death's door, and we took him to the vet, and after many tests, they discovered here was the issue, and that's how his Addison's was discovered, and everything else has followed the discovery of his disease. So I'm sure once, thank you for the 400 likes, Vegan Call Quest. Y'all are awesome today. So listen, yeah. So I'm sure that there are places where we could cut costs in terms of care for Jack. The main concern though is that he just be healthy and happy. So yeah. I love that we're on this topic because I wanted to talk a little bit about, I posted a video. Yeah, Robin says, so glad you have your baby and he's doing okay. Yeah, thank you for that. So one of the things that I thought I'd talk about, I posted the video this morning of, I was in Ohio visiting family, and visited my, I saw my nephew, and wait, hold on one second, y'all. I'll be right back. 1 second. All right, sorry about that, y'all. It was that, or I was gonna have to cut this broadcast short. So I much prefer to do that and let the broadcast go its natural length. Anyway, let me see. So how old is Jack? So Jack's age when we found Jack. So there are several videos about Jack. I think there's one called "You Don't Know Jack." If you look if you go to my, those who don't know, I also have a YouTube channel, and I've surpassed now, I think at this point I've surpassed 500 videos. And y'all, the video that I posted this morning was Food for Thought 399, about to have 400 Food for Thought videos, which actually didn't, my channel, I'd had my channel for, almost 10 years before Food for Thought ever started. So just so you know, there are a lot of videos to go through. Anyway, several of them are about Jack. If you go to my channel and you just type in the name Jack, you'll see, videos that tell the story. Briefly, however, Jack, in fact, it was on Christmas Day, or the celebration of the winter, around the celebration of the winter solstice. I believe it was in 2010. So it was around the time that I was first becoming vegan. We were at dinner at my neighbor's house, and there was barking that was outside. It was very loud. It went on and on. So we went out to see what the problem was, the problem this individual was having with the dog. And Jack was there, tied to the fence in front of my house, in fact, tied to the fence and just ballistic. And so Jack was a rescue dog. We discovered at that point that he had had his last shots 3 years prior to being found by us. And that's because he had a chip, and so there was some information on him. So had been 3 years. My guess is that him getting those shots happened, when he was, a puppy. So he was probably 3 years when we found him in 2010. And so, I'm guessing he's 11 or 12 now. So Jack is, yes, 11 or 12, and I think in spite of having Addison's disease, I think he's a fairly, happy, energetic being, I guess. Secret Daddy Radio, thank you for becoming a fan, and welcome to the broadcast. So what else, y'all? Oh, yes. I was about to talk a little bit about my, I've got a great question coming in the thing. How did you become a man mentally? I don't even know what that means. I'm not sure that I am a man mentally. I don't know what that means. I think I may be a man biologically. But other than that, I don't know. I mean, and I'm sure there's a couple people that you could ask that would tell you they don't know either. What's going on? There's too much information. Anyway, but thank you for that question. It's a great question. So I was going to talk about my nephew. So part of the reason I made that video about Mac is that Mac came to me to tell me that he wants to go vegan, that he's planning on transitioning to a plant-based lifestyle. I'm going to say a plant-based lifestyle. He doesn't know if it will be being vegan, but it will be a plant-centered diet. And so, oh yes, so something happened. Something happened. Y'all distracted me, so I'm gonna keep going. Anyway, so he came to tell me that he was, considering going, plant-based. Now, of course, he tells me this, and I know that he's got a yard full of cows, and that since he was, old enough to talk, he's been in 4-H, and he's been part of programs where, kids are well indoctrinated in, the animal agriculture industry, right? There's an indoctrination that happens in rural communities to get the kids on board with animal agriculture. And my nephew is the product of that system of indoctrination. Now, I don't mean to make it sound so nefarious, but it's what it is. So that said, when he came to me to tell me that he was considering being plant-based, now this is the second of my niece, nephew from that particular brood of children to approach me about becoming vegan. I believe my niece has been plant-based at least for the past 4 or 5 years, although there was pressure on them to shift. So the fact that my nephew, in the midst of all of this indoctrination, to be a part of the system of animal agriculture, saying that they were going plant-based, was really amazing to me. But, the fact is that there's, a yard full of animals, sentient beings, right? And some of them slated for a bad end, to be slaughtered. And I wanted to have a conversation with him about that reality and to see if there was a connection between his understanding of that reality and his desire now to be plant-based. And it turns out that there was a connection. But if you watch the video, you can see that just in the language, there's buried in the language all of this coding about what is happening with these animals, these sentient beings. There's so much coded language. I mean, he talked about processing instead of slaughter and killing, right? If you watch the video, and I would recommend watching it. And I think that there's a great, opportunity here for another convertible to see. I mean, because we had, Ethan, who just, Ethan was so easy. He was so easy, but it was easy for Ethan, right? Because he had the resources to go vegan. He had the support, me there, regularly in his life to be there supporting him and taking him to places to experience, plant-based eating. And then you had Mrs. King, right? Mrs. King had particular challenges because Mrs. King is a cancer survivor and talks very much about being a cancer survivor in the Convertible series, and continues to have challenges because Mrs. King is surrounded by doctors who are recommending things that she eat and not eat. And so it's been a challenge with Mrs. King, but Mrs. King continues to struggle to move towards being, a plant-based person. And I believe ultimately 100% plant-based. Right now, it's not 100%. So to have someone who was raised being indoctrinated into animal agriculture, where someone coming from a community where the livelihood of their friends, family, and neighbors is tied to the consumption of animals as products. What a challenging task that individual has ahead. And I would love to, if Mac were up to it, I would love to document some of that journey. And so I'm thinking to do, another installment of Convertible featuring, Mac, there on the farm. And also we can follow what's happening with some of the animals who now have a home where, on the farm where Mac lives. Secret Daddy Radio says, do you have other reasons for being bald other than physical appearance? No. So, Chickpea Sarni says, what was your highlight of 2017? Oh dear. I don't know. Well, last year, Ready, Set, Go Race was, Ready, Set, Go Race and developing a piece on such a challenging topic, the development of race in the United States from colonial days to the present, pretty heavy subject. We created a musical, that people really loved, based on that theme. So for me, that was a great, I feel like that was a triumph in many ways, and a lot of people enjoyed it. And I ended up meeting, there was one of the young people who came to see the show, apparently had heard about the show, really wanted to see the show. This was a 14-year-old who really wanted to see the show, did extra chores so that they could purchase a ticket and come and see the show. And then that same young person just did our playwriting program, so that person is continuing in their relationship with the organization. So, I think that that's pretty cool. So, Vegan Call Quest says, I understand that my family ran a butcher shop growing up, and it was very ingrained and hard to express my ethics as a kid. Hey, I noticed that when I was Vegan Call Quest saying this, I noted when I was watching your live stream a few weeks ago that you brought that up, and I feel like people who, it's one thing when oh, I'm gonna go vegan, and your only consideration is that what your dollars can purchase, right? That's your only consideration. What about people whose entire livelihood has been connected to the animal commodities industry, who then make that leap? I want to hear from those people, because my sense is those are the people who are going to be able to reach a community that otherwise is not going to be interested in a vegan message, right? And a vegan message that sounds like more like privilege. And that's another thing, y'all. I'm retiring privilege. We're gonna see a lot of videos about this. Um, we're gonna see a lot of, but I'm retiring, y'all. I'm retiring privilege to describe people who have existed based on violent exploitation of others. Because my understanding, and I know, like, for myself, it is damaging to the self to engage in the exploitation of others. It is damaging to the self to be engaged in the exploitation of others. And so to call it a privilege to be benefiting from the violent exploitation of others, it's a little bit lopsided. Not a little bit lopsided, it's backwards, y'all. That's not a privilege, that's a curse in my book. So I think that we should maybe start talking about the curse of a life based on exploitation. Because we know, or at least I understand and I believe very strongly that that is a life that is damaging to the individual who is participating. Vegan Call Quest says A Peaceable Kingdom is a good documentary of ex-animal ag farmers who switched and started sanctuaries. Very impactful for that community. Yeah, I'm going to check that out. Thank you. Robin says, I share some of those challenges. My grandfather was an East Coast fisherman. My mother constantly says, why can't you eat fish? I hear that, Robin, and thank you for sharing that. So yeah, I think that there's real power in that. And I think that it carries, I think it carries on with veganism because, just the whole effect of the consumption of animal products on the individuals who consume them. It's not, it's not the road to happiness for anyone. Why would we call it a privilege, right? I believe that we are privileged to be enlightened and to understand. That's the privilege. It may mean that, there are struggles as part of that, but, there's like every sentient being on the planet has its struggles, right? Has its struggles. Chickpea Sarni says, that sounds interesting, the video series with your nephew. Yeah, I intend to pursue it. I think it will be, it is very likely that it's something that will happen when I return in the summer, just to follow up and see. However, we may have Mac join us on the live stream and maybe guest to just give us some updates, just to let us know where they are. Vegan Call Quest says, it's a Tribe of Heart Productions. They've made all their docs free on their website. I will check that out. So y'all check out A Tribe of Heart Productions for a video for the documentary A Peaceable Kingdom. That is the story of ex-animal ag farmers who switched and started animal sanctuaries, right? Which brings us right back to, the paintings that I'm honored to have on display here at AltSpace. Yes, thank you, Robin. So what else? What else? I don't know. I hope that's clear. I hope this whole, and also in terms of this, retiring the use of the word privilege to mean someone who benefits from the exploitation, the violent exploitation of others, just, you'll hear more about that. There's some pieces that a dear friend, Tawana Petty, and Tawana's been featured here on the channel. If you just go to my YouTube channel and you type in Tawana Petty, TTY, you'll find an interview with Tawana on the channel. So let's see. Um, King Destroyer Bath. Can we please guess? I need someone to talk to just for 1 minute. I'm not sure guessing what. I'm not sure what we're asking to guess. My guess would be 12. I'm going to guess 12, and that's going to be my wild guess. So, what else? What else is on your minds? Oh, you want to do a video chat? Well, we're about 5 minutes before the end of the chat. If you had gotten here a little bit early, King Destroyer, F Bath, I might have been more interested, just because with people that I don't know, I don't want somebody to guess and do a whole thing. You know, whatever people want to say, that's great, but I wouldn't want to end the live stream on a note where we wouldn't be able to really finish the conversation. I like it when we have at least 15 minutes to chat. And unfortunately, a few weeks ago, someone really killed it for everyone, because they came on and there was like a whole lot of stuff that had to happen after they left. And so that said, I'm just gonna I don't want to end my live stream doing guesting with someone. And that's guesting. You've been typing guess, and it's guesting. I think you mean GUEST. Yeah. So anyway, all of that said, yeah, I'm not going to be ending my live stream with a complete stranger as guest. That will be my New Year's resolution. No ending one's live stream with an absolute stranger as guest. And I'm looking, and it seems to me that you might also be a minor. And I don't know, especially after all of the vegan cheetah. And you all should let me know, what precautions might we take when it comes to having minors as guests in our live streams. Veganista, thank you, and Happy New Year to you as well. Robin said, just don't do it, right? Yeah, because I'm like, I'm going to tell you all this. I was like, my nephew is a minor. I don't even know if I want to post because I don't want to open people up to that. But you guys, there was stuff that went on a couple of months ago, and there was so much talk about exploiting young people on these, YouNow live streams, where I'm just very, very, very uncomfortable about that. Yes, Love Light Ananda says positive vibes, please. Yeah, and this is the last live stream of the year as well, so we want to end this on a positive note. I'm going to be honest, y'all. I feel like I have said everything that I need to. I've made all the most of the announcements that I've needed to make. I'm only going to be here in Detroit for a little while. I'm going to be back because I'm teaching I'm going to be teaching for the spring semester, which apparently starts at the end of January, so I will be heading back. I'm glad. Thank you, Robin. I'm glad that you caught the live stream, caught the broadcast as well. Vegan Call Quest says, yes, if you check out the documentary, there's no actual graphic scenes, but very emotionally impactful. Yes, Robin says, thanks to Vegan Call Quest. Love Light Ananda, peace and blessings to everyone. Thank you so much. I just want to let you all know, so now that I'm here in Detroit, chances are you're going to see at least a produced segment each week. We'll see how that goes, and I have so much stuff to catch up on, y'all. And with all of the reading that I've been doing as research for the play, the same as last year, I'm going to be bringing a lot of those perspectives into the videos as well. So yeah, I think that really is going to be it. I know I started a couple of minutes late, and that this is a couple of minutes early, but I want to go out on a loving note, a loving and positive note. Y'all, everybody, please be safe, whatever it is that you have plans. Yes, be safe tonight. Be safe tonight. Kearney, thank you for the 400 likes. I want to wish you all a happy end of the year, and I will catch you all in the new year. Catch me here next week. same time, 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. In the meantime, look out for more videos. That's it for this video. Those of you watching on YouTube, like this video. If you like it, share, comment, subscribe. This is Reg signing off. Love yourselves. Peace.